So what is going on, guys? Welcome to a TCP cosplayer interview. With us today we have myself, Renegade Operative, and Brandon, as well as Mhysa Cosplay. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Hello. What should
Hey,
Awesome.
I
awesome.
don't know
Yeah.
It's very informative.
no, I've been cosplaying since 2011. Always been big into costume and fashion, so it was kind of pretty natural leap once I started attending conventions. So and I have a lot of fun with it. I kind of go all across the board. I do, a lot of simple stuff, but I do a lot of like really complicated costumes too, and that's kind of like where my passion lies. I like to create something and have people go, "Holy shit!" Can I say that? Is it okay for me to say shit?
Yeah, no, it's-
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
Yes, you can swear on this podcast. Excellent.
Yes. Okay, fair warning.
this isn't
Renegade
a family-friendly program.
Yeah, fuck the kids watching. No, I'm kidding. But
Yeah.
we're gonna jump right into it with question number one. So, Mr. Chaos, could you take that, please?
Sure. What was your main inspiration that gave you that push to partake in the cosplay/modeling medium?
Honestly, I started out like I think so many cosplayers do with Halloween costumes. I love making my own costumes, and then in 2011 I got invited by a friend to attend and work Boston Comic Con with them, and I was like, "Oh, Comic Con, that's cool. I've never been. People dress up for those, right? Oh, let me dig out a couple of my Halloween costumes." And then it was just so insane. Like people just loved it, and people are like, "Oh my god, I love your costume. Can I take your picture?" And I was like, "This is great. Like, where has this been all my life?" So yeah, that was kind of what got me into it. At first, it was mostly just wearing costumes that I had previously made for Halloween, and then Daenerys Targaryen was actually the first costume that I made for a comic
Yes.
convention in 2013, and that's kind of what launched the whole thing. That's what prompted me to like make an actual Facebook page for it, so I could post my photos. And that's where the name of the page came from, because in the show, the slaves that she frees, they call her Mhysa, which means mother. And I was
Oh
like,
yeah, I didn't even make that connection, honestly.
I know,
Like,
this is great. Like, most
I'm a
people
huge fan of that show too. I didn't even think about
Yep. They're like, "Oh, hey, yeah, that's right." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm the mother of
Yeah,
dragons."
Mhysa means mother of dragons. For those of you who don't watch Game of Thrones.
So yeah, that was kind of what the whole thing for me. So that was the big costume that pushed me over the top, and like kind of got swept away in it. And I used to make one costume a year for Halloween, and my God, last year I think I made 10 or 11 costumes over the years. It's
Yeah.
so bad. It's like all my free time now.
So, we're gonna move on to number two. Are you an avid gamer, and if so, what games do you enjoy playing? How did you get into gaming, and what's your favorite game to play currently that's on the market?
Oh my God, yes. So I've been gaming since I was a kid. I was born and raised in New Hampshire, so if you've ever, visited or lived here, there's not a lot to do. So video games are pretty big. I was never a big console gamer just because we didn't have a lot of game systems growing up, so I kind of grew up on PC games.
PC
PC
Masters?
Master.
Yep, heck yeah. I've been a big Blizzard fan from way back. I think the only Blizzard game that I've missed in the entire time they've been making games was Diablo 1, just because I came into it a little late. I came in after Diablo 2 was created, and everyone was like, "Oh, 2's so much better than 1. You don't need 1. You don't need 1." But so I played basically every Blizzard game. I did Diablo, StarCraft, Warcraft. I love the Sid Meier's Civilization games. I still, to this day, go back and replay Alpha Centauri, even though the platform is so outdated, just because the game itself is so fun. Probably right now, my favorite game is League of Legends, even though I'm so bad at it and it kills me. I'm like, "Oh, I just want to get better." But that game is like crack to me, both as a gamer, because I feel like I have so much improving to do, so I want to pour all this time into it, and then also as a cosplayer, because they just keep introducing new characters and new skins, and like every time I log in, I feel like I end up with another costume on my list. It's bad.
So, Mr. Brandon, could you take question number three, please?
Yes, I can. What are your thoughts on the convention scene, and has it helped your cosplay flourish in that community?
Wait, what? I'm sorry? What was the question?
What are your thoughts on the convention scene and how has it helped your cosplay flourish in that community? That means that
Oh,
how has
okay.
it helped you in general in that
Yeah.
community?
So I love the cosplay and convention scene. I get really annoyed with how it gets portrayed a lot of the time in media. Shows like Heroes of Cosplay just do such an injustice to it because they portrayed as being like really catty and bitchy, and I'm just like, that is not the cosplay scene I know at all. Like most of my closest friends I've made through costuming and cosplay, just because everyone is so encouraging and builds each other up. And no matter like what your style of cosplay, whether you like to go out to the store and buy a pre-made costume and wear it just to have fun, or if you're, one of those crazy people like me that likes to pour like hundreds of hours into a costume, like create total screen accuracy, there's people out there that do the same thing as you, and you can find all kinds of like-minded people who get you, I guess, and who are really good at encouraging you to do you, and to cosplay the way that makes you happy. One of my closest friends in this scene is Abby from Human Sushi Cosplay, and we joke that we're the same person because we literally are so on the same wavelength with everything. We both love doing like crazy intricate detail. It's really dangerous for us to go fabric shopping together because we enable each other so bad. Oh yeah, you should totally buy that. Oh yeah, we'll do this and this, and yeah. So it's really great to have that community because just cosplaying on your own. I mean, it's fun and all, but like the most fun of going to conventions isn't getting your costume seen, it's getting to see your friends and what costumes they're doing, and what people are working on. And I think it's a really important community to have, if it's something that you're interested in.
So I don't think this question is on the document, so this is a bit of a personal question, but what other famous cosplayers have you ran into, or who do you know in particular that you might have a good relationship with?
Oh my God, so many. I'm fortunate that because I work for a lot of conventions rather than just attending them. I tend to actually meet and interface with not only a lot of local cosplayers, but with the cosplay guests that attend the conventions. So I've been working with Boston Comic Con since 2011, and right now I'm part of the cosplay staff. So I've gotten to meet Yaya Han, Ivy Doom Kitty, Ani Mia, Liana Vamp. Nicole Marie Jean does Boston Comic Con a lot, but she's actually local to the scene because she is originally from New England, so I know her from way back. And then I was really excited this year. I got to meet Alexandria the Red at Boston Comic Con, who is so sweet and is also Team Instinct, and that was wonderful. And I got real excited when I found that out. But as far as ones that I'm very close with, Bellshare, I'm super close with. She's a huge inspiration to me. Also, Kristen Huey is probably the nicest goddamn person I've ever met in my entire life, and I get really bummed out that we don't go to as many conventions since we live in such separate areas, so I don't get to see as much of her as I would like to. Lucky Grimm Cosplay is another one. She's a professional. She works in the costume and Hollywood scene, and that's what she does professionally. And she's really fantastic friend. She pushes me to be so much better just because I look at what she's doing and I'm like, damn, I need to step up my game. She actually just won New York Comic Con costume contest with her Frau Sakizo design, and I was so pumped for her. So yeah, it's really cool. Like I've been very fortunate that I've met a lot of really well-known cosplayers, and others still I follow on social media, and we communicate that way. So yeah, I hope that answered your question.
It did. It answered our question very well, and also the middle finger was extended to Team Valor. So.
Fuck it, Valor. No.
So, I want to move on to the next question, which is question number 4, I believe. What would be your dream convention to attend?
Oh my God. God. There's so many, so many that I have been wanting to attend for ages and just can't because of money or logistics. Obviously, San Diego Comic-Con is the dream. I would love to get out there someday just for the spectacle of it all. I would love to go to BlizzCon. As I said, I love Blizzard games, so I would really love to attend there one day. And believe it or not, this is going to sound really weird, but Costume College, which is a convention that happens out in California, it's for historical costumers, which is something I've been getting obsessed with ever since I started watching Outlander, and now 18th century fashion is like all I can think about. It's on my mind like 24/7. So I would love to go to Costume College someday and just see, what all these crazy, amazing historical costumers are working on.
So, this is a big question, and Mr. Brandon, I want you to read that off, please.
Number 5?
Number 5.
5? Okay. How do you deal with negativity in the cosplay community, and what would be your words to inspire and help those who deal with the worst situations?
I have zero tolerance for negativity. For the most part, like if I'm able to, I usually just ignore it. Like if someone's saying shit, I'm like, I'm not gonna spread that around. Like that's just people trying to get attention. The one place where I draw a line in the sand is if someone says something negative about one of my friends. I'm like a mama bear. I protect what's mine, and I have gone off on people and just ripped into them for promoting negativity. Saying rude things about people. I will not tolerate it for one instant. I'm like, we are here to build each other up. Like, everyone here is pouring their heart and soul into it, and just saying shit about people is just so uncalled for. The one style of negativity that amuses the crap out of me, and I know a lot of people disagree with me on this, but I love it when I get thirsty guys on Facebook and Instagram, just trying, asking for nudes, sending dick pics, like all this stuff.
Oh my
God, one of my friends, she got a message the other day, where this guy was like, "Oh, I like you so much, please send me nudes or I'll kill myself." And I was like, God damn it,
What?
What the
I
fuck?
get that message. Like, I love it. I thrive on it. It's so entertaining to me, and I know that sounds terrible, but I get so pumped anytime I get that type of conversation. I immediately screenshot it and post it on Facebook for all my friends to laugh at. So I'm just like, this is fantastic. Like, I know a lot of people get annoyed, and it is like it's a problem, that it's so common online these days, but I just think it's hilarious.
Yeah, those guys, clearly they need a bottle of water or their dick kickboxed off because, I mean...
Some Gatorade.
Yeah, you need some fucking Gatorade because that is ridiculous, but that's what happens. You get shamed when you do that, so I totally agree with what you're doing. You're doing the right thing if they're really harassing you like that. So we're going to move on to number 6. So Mr. Chaos, could you read that off, please?
Sure. Is there any other mediums you're into that are comic book / anime inspired, and could you list off some of your favorites?
Mediums like series or
series, genres, like one-offs, because there's comic book series that they did like one shot of and they didn't continue the series after that, so maybe something like that.
Oh my gosh, I have like no idea how to answer this question.
There's so many, huh?
I know, like my tastes are like so varied and eclectic. Like I know people like who are specifically comic book nerds or who are specifically anime nerds, and I'm like, I'm into comics, I'm into anime, I'm into video games, I'm into like all kinds of like television shows, and oh god, I mean pretty much anything comic book related is automatically gonna grab me just because that's that's my jam, that's the background that I come from. I got into the anime scene on the late side. I got introduced to anime in high school, so I kind of grew up with all those like mid to late 90s animes that were like coming over and getting subbed and dubbed around that time. So Gundam Wing, Escaflowne, those were like big ones that introduced me to the genre. Apart from that, like I don't know, I wouldn't even know where to start just because I have so many things that I love that are so eclectic. I love sci-fi and fantasy. That was kind of like I read tons and tons of sci-fi and fantasy novels growing up. My mom was a big Tolkien fan, so she introduced us to like Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit like real early on. We'd like hang out as a family and like read like these novels that were not designed for kids my age, but that was cool. So yeah, lots of sci-fi and fantasy. I've actually been dying for a few years now to do a Dragon Riders of Pern cosplay, just because I'm like no one will know who I am, but I like that series has like such a history for me because I've been reading it for so long, and I actually mentioned it at one point to Belshare, and she's also a huge Anne McCaffrey fan, and she was like, "Oh my God, we should totally do it." So that'll happen at some point, but Lord only knows when. So yeah, so many things I couldn't even begin to like list off.
I wonder what you think about something more noticeable like comic book movies.
Comic book movies, I usually have very strong opinions on. There's very few that leave me kind of meh. I'm usually like, oh my God, I love it, or oh, that was terrible. Honestly, the only comic book movies I can think of that I'm meh on are the X-Men ones, just because like there's moments in them that are so glorious, and then others that I'm just like, why would you make that choice? Fox, please just give the rights back. You're not doing what you need to with it. Most Marvel movies I've been very, very happy with, the exception being Ant-Man kind of left me flat, and that I knew.
You didn't like Ant-Man?
I knew going into it. I've always hated Ant-Man, and
oh, that'll do it right there.
And it helped that that the original Ant-Man played a very small role because I have words for him. But I don't know. Ant-Man's never really been my favorite. But other than that, I love the Marvel movies. DC.
Oh no.
Oh, here we go.
Let me put it this way. I love DC television series. This has always been the case. The DC animated series from when I was growing up are all amazing. They did such good things with them. The DC live action series they're running right now, some of them are kind of, the writing's kind of spotty, but like overall they're like really, really solid shows. And then for some reason, the film universe just cannot seem to get their shit together. And it's the same issue that I've been complaining about with DC Comics for so many years, which is DC creates amazing, amazing characters and then has no idea how to write them. And it's like, if you look at the comic book history, it's like they've been having this issue for so long. Like, they have all these great, amazing characters, and then they're like, oh, what do we do with them? So yeah, that's kind of my feelings on that. So I won't lie, I'm looking forward to Justice League, just because, more Wonder Woman, obviously, since she was the only decent part of Batman versus Superman, and then I'm looking forward to their interpretations of Aquaman and Flash, just because they look really interesting. So I'm excited to see where they go with them.
You mean you didn't like Lex Luthor in that movie?
No one did, dude. No one.
I'm sorry, I don't know what you're talking about. Lex Luthor was nowhere to be found in that movie.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, and then I'm watching the Wonder Woman movie with a very close eye, because if they fuck it up, I'm gonna be so mad. They've got my hopes up with the trailer, and I'm like, if you screw this up, guys, you're dead to me.
I actually, based on that, I actually had a little bit of a side question, but what are your thoughts on like the Netflix Marvel series that they've been doing recently?
Oh my God, they're so good. Oh, they're so good. I literally have like no complaints about those series. Like I'm like yes, this is what comic book film interpretation should be going for.
Right.
Like, oh my God. So obviously to start with Daredevil, it was just, season 1 was great, and I was like, a lot of people disagree with me on this, but I've always had very strong opinions on Daredevil. My best friend loves him. He's one of her favorite superheroes, and I'm always like, okay, great, if he's well written, that's fine, but he's the dumbest superhero ever. He's a fucking blind man with the power of sight. Like, what were they smoking when they came up with this? But and then of course, the Ben Affleck movie, which shall not be talked about again, was just
no, throw that in trash.
When the series came out, like I had never found an interpretation of Daredevil that made me actually give a shit about the character until the Netflix series, and I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. This is my Matt Murdock. I love it. And then Jessica Jones, I tried to binge watch and I failed because my god, that series was so heavy, and I was like, this is making me feel feels that I am not comfortable with. I'm really looking forward to the Iron Fist series because I've always loved Iron Fist, which makes sense, I suppose, since I have a martial arts background, and I'm like, yeah, martial artist with like arcane powers. This is great. But no, he's pretty cool shit. And then I just finished Luke Cage just a couple of days ago, and I was like, oh my god, this is just like. I every single time Netflix drops a series, I'm like, this is what I've been waiting for. Like, where has this been? This is so good.
I really want.
It's always
so
like
bad.
It always baffles me that Netflix has been able to put out such like consistently decent shows, like not just Marvel shows, but in general.
No,
it's
not
like
just Marvel shows. Like all of my friends right now are freaking out about Stranger Things. I haven't had a chance to watch it yet.
oh, watch
But
that.
like
Watch.
everyone's losing their shit, and I'm like, my god. Yeah, no, Netflix original series. Like I don't know if it's just because they feel like they can take more risks with it since they don't.
That probably is part of it.
I mean, they've got subscribers. They don't need to worry about like the ratings, and time slots and everything that normal network television has to worry about, because it's such a different platform. So I think that's really what it boils down to is they can do riskier things because they don't have to worry, about generating, revenue from it as much, and it's yielded some seriously spectacular results.
And if I can like interject really quickly, I think a lot of people were under this misnomer that adult content could not sell, like R-rated movies could not sell anymore. Right? That's why Deadpool went on to win.
Shut that down! Oh
yeah.
my god!
Deadpool went on to be a success, and it shows you that adult content could be funny and humorous without this rating restriction. Oh, we need to be PG-13 in order to cater to people that age that brings in the most money. That's bullshit. And I'm glad that
that is bullshit.
Yeah, I'm glad that Netflix it gives people a platform to show more adult-oriented superheroes without having the need to put any restrictions on them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. There's no way that Jessica Jones as a series would have ever flown on a network television. Just because I mean I don't know if you guys are familiar with the comics Despondent, but the Alias comics, it was literally Brian Michael Bendis pitching to Marvel, I want to do an R-rated comic book. Like that's how the character of Jessica Jones and the Alias series as a whole came to be. And that shit is dark. I mean, like they changed some stuff for television, but like the core essence of it was there. Like they do not shy away from the hard subjects, or the adult language, or any of those things that are so taboo on this network television platform.
All right,
exactly.
So that was a very fun segue. So we're gonna that was very fun. So we're gonna move on to question number 7. Get back on track. So who has been your favorite character to cosplay to date?
Oh dear God. I mean, the obvious answer would be Daenerys because she's my girl. She's kind of what got this whole thing started for me. At the same time, though, I think probably what I had the most fun with was Super Mega Fest 2 years ago. Lily the Bunny and I dressed as the Dee-Dees from Batman Beyond, and I was coming off of like a big costume that hadn't gone the way I wanted it to, and just like a shitty experience. And I was kind of fed up with cosplay at that moment, and we were like, let's do a quick, easy costume. No one will know who we are because it's so obscure, but we'll have fun. And then it ended up like everyone loved it, all day people were like, oh my god, it's the Dee-Dees, oh my god, and just like losing their shit, and we were like, holy shit, this is great, people know who these characters are. Like we thought that we were just going to be like these weird people, dressed in costumes that no one recognized. And just having that, I mean, it's always more fun cosplaying in a group, but those two characters, being twins and looking alike, and just the two of us just doing that together, it was just such a great time. And I really want to bring them back, and I wish that she hadn't moved to North Carolina on me. But yeah, that was probably the most fun that I've had in cosplay.
All right, so we're gonna move on to question number 8. So, Mr. Chaos, could you read that off, please?
Sure. To add on to that, what other cosplays have you personally done?
Oh dear God. So, all right. So let's see. So the first cosplays I did were Rogue from the X-Men and Kaylee from Firefly. I then did. Let's see. I've done Poison Ivy. I've actually done a couple different versions of Poison Ivy, and I'm eventually going to do a third because I'm not real happy with either of the ones I've done. I've done Death from the Sandman comics. I've done 4 different outfits for Daenerys now because I'm a crazy person. I've done, oh my gosh, let's see. Oh, there's so many. Hold on. So I've done. I did Sarah Kerrigan, the Queen of Blades. That was actually the one that left the bad taste in my mouth just because it was a lot of new stuff I hadn't done and not everything worked out the way I wanted it to. So that'll be brought back eventually. I've done Peggy Carter. I've done her blue suit, which is
Awesome.
kind of, yeah, I love being a badass. I've done Gwen Stacy. I'm going to be doing a Spider-Gwen. I have the dyes up for it. I just need to sew it up and, have a convention to wear it to. I have done, let's see, Colossal Con this year. It was a lot of fun. I did a bunch of anime stuff. I got to dress as girl type Ranma from Ranma 1 of 2 with Abby. It was actually a costume that she had made ages back and it had never gotten worn, so that was cool. We did a Mortal Kombat group and I dressed up as Katana, which is pretty great nostalgia factor there. Let's see, I've done Saber from Fate Stay Night.
Yes.
Yeah, and Rin. Actually, I've done Rin and Saber from Fate Stay Night, and because of course I don't have enough Fate Stay Night.
Rin is better.
Yeah, and I'm doing another Fate group with friends at KatsuCon this year. I've done Kenshin Himura from Rurouni Kenshin.
Yes!
Awesome.
Fucking
Yes.
yes.
My first crossplay there, although I don't know if it really counts considering how feminine he looks. But we'll count it as a crossplay. I've done Supergirl. I've done Starfire.
Yes.
The new version from the Jimmy Palmiotti and Amanda Connors comics because she's fucking adorable and everything I want in my Starfire. What am I missing? I did a Flareon Gajinka design. It's a design by Cowslip, who's an artist on Imager, which is really gorgeous high fashion Pokemon redesigns, and I did her Flareon and was actually warm outside at KatsuCon in February last year, which should tell you how much fur was on that costume. I'm missing things. Oh, I did Black Canary. I'm gonna be redoing it. I want to do like the classic bunny suit, leather jacket kind of look. So that'll happen eventually. And then I did a Hawkeye / Merida mashup design with a group. I actually did a whole series of Disney Princess Avengers mashups, and I actually had a group of people cosplay them with me at Granite Con a couple years back, and that was a lot of fun. So I'm trying to think. I feel like there have to be more that I'm missing. Last year at PAX East, I worked for Greater Than Games, who produce the Sentinels of the Multiverse card game. So I dressed up as Unity from Sentinels of the Multiverse to work for them, which was a lot of fun. And I did Chucky. I did the Kotobukiya horror bishoujo design for Chucky with a group of friends at Massive Comic Con this summer. So that was pretty cool. And I'm sure there's more I'm forgetting. Like I said, I did so many costumes last year; they're all starting to blur together on me.
This is like a universal list of cosplay characters that you did.
Like I said, I have really eclectic tastes.
That's actually good, though. That's a pretty good thing to have. So we're gonna move on to question number 9. So, Mr. Brandon, could you read that off, please?
Yes. What are your thoughts on crafting and creating materials for cosplay, and have you personally done it to enhance your own costumes?
Oh my God, I have learned so many new techniques over the years. I mean, my background is in sewing. I grew up sewing. I went to school for fashion, so that's kind of like my comfort zone is like sewing and pattern making. But I've been learning so many new techniques. So my Daenerys costume, the first one I did, I actually got frustrated because I couldn't find any commercially available fabrics that looked rough spun enough for like all the Dothraki textures. So I literally made a loom and wove my own fabric for it because I'm a crazy person. And then lately I've been getting really into molding and casting. My friend Glitch Cause, that's kind of his thing. So he's been teaching me how to like sculpt and mold and cast. So I've been doing a lot of that as well. I love all the materials that are available to cosplayers nowadays. You know, like all the thermoplastics, Wonderflex, Worbla, Fibra, like all those they're fantastic. I'm no good with them. I've tried. I don't know what it is, but I cannot get them to behave the way I want. So I leave that to my boyfriend. He has the golden touch with them. I'm like, great, you can do the armor and props. That's all you. Have fun. But I think it's really fantastic that there's stuff like that available. Like, we didn't used to be able to do that. Pepakura back when I started was kind of like the big thing that people were like, oh wow, that's so cool, because there just wasn't stuff available for it. Like basically like whatever you could find at the hardware store and Michael's was like what you used. And now, because cosplay is becoming such a big industry, people are creating a lot more material specifically for it, and I think it's terrific just because it opens your horizons so much. There's so many things that like you can actually make nowadays that like you wouldn't have been able to make 10, 20, 30 years ago, just because the stuff wasn't available for it.
I have a side question actually. How horrible was that hot glue though?
Oh my god, I have burned myself with hot glue more times than I can count. I hate hot glue. Let me just be perfectly honest here. I absolutely hate hot glue. I refuse to use it if I have any alternative. It does have its uses, and I have used it in certain costumes just because there wasn't, a better medium, but I get so angry when I see shit just like hot glued together, and I'm like, that is not the correct way to do that. You should be ashamed of yourself. But no, the first costume contest that I entered, that I won best in show in with my Daenerys costume, I actually had like a blister on my finger from hot glue at the time because my little baby dragon had fallen off of his shoulder pauldron, and I had to like re-glue him right before the convention, and I was rushing and wasn't being careful, and I literally just had this giant like gaping wound from the hot glue.
That
Jeez.
sounds pretty terrible. Oh my god, that sounds awful.
Oh my god, people have this misconception that cosplay is so glamorous. Like, oh, you dress in costume and do your makeup and people take your picture. And I'm like, dude, if you could see the behind the scenes, like, I cannot keep my hands nice to save my life. They're constantly covered in just scratches and scars. I have gouged my fingers with pins and needles so many times, like I barely feel it anymore. Like, it is not as glamorous as it's made out to be. I have actually a very impressive scar, which it's impressive enough you can actually see it in some of my pictures from molten clay. I was working with this hard clay that like it's so hard when it's not warmed up that it's literally like a block and you can't do anything with it. So Glitch Cause, he was over and he was showing me how to work with it, and he has like a pot to heat it up in, and I actually got splashed with hot clay from the pot, and it left a 2nd-degree burn on my arm. And that's cosplay. Like that's the part you don't see in the photos, is like all the blood, sweat, and tears that go into it. We have a joke among my friends group that every single cosplay, like you have to like make a blood sacrifice before it's done, just because we injure ourselves so often.
Yeah, for the ladies out there, be mindful to wear a hard hat because it's a dangerous job, but someone's got to do it.
Oh my god. Seriously though, like please, if you're working with tools or chemicals, like use proper safety equipment. Wear gloves, wear eye protection, wear a ventilator if you're working with noxious fumes. I've talked to people who have I mean, I talked to this one girl that literally, she was having all these symptoms that the doctors couldn't identify, and it was literally because she'd been working with E6000 in a not well enough ventilated area, and it was poisoning her. I'm like, please God, like if it says, if it says on the packaging, use in a well ventilated area, don't do it inside the house. Wear a respirator, protect yourself, because it really is so easy to fuck yourself up doing this stuff.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Like, it's better safe than sorry from how it sounds.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
So, we are going to move on to question number 10. How long do you plan to continue your hobby of cosplay, and how has this hobby personally helped or influenced your life?
Forever. 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 I will never ever quit cosplaying until the day I die. I actually have this running joke that the only reason that I want to have kids is so I can dress them up in costume with me. I have this vision in my head of like me, like a 40, 50 something year old mother, dressed up as Queen Eleanor from Brave with little tiny Merida. It's like that's. So yeah, I have no intention of quitting at any point. As far as how it's helped me, not only does it give me a creative outlet, which is so important. Like, I mean, I've been doing art my whole life, and this medium just like it's perfect for me. So it really gives me like a means of creating something. But it's also very helpful in a psychological sense because I suffer a lot with anxiety, and I'm always like worried that I'm not good enough. People are gonna like I'm every time I do a costume, I always worry that people are gonna see like all the flaws. Even though I know how how unlikely that is. But dressing up as these characters that that I have so much respect for, it's not only is it nice to kind of take a break from being anxious little me and be some sort of badass for a change, but you do take some of that back into your day-to-day life, because there when you embody a character that has traits that you want in yourself, you really do start to incorporate those traits more into your actual personality. And I think it's very helpful, for people. I've spoken with other cosplayers, and they say the same thing. It helps to be someone else for a little while. It's just there's something very mentally soothing about it, I guess. I know that sounds kind of weird, but no, I mean, like everyone has their heroes, and it's always so funny, like comic cons nowadays. There's so many like media guests and art guests and things like that, and people want to go to the convention and meet their heroes, and I've always been kind of blasé about it, because I'm like, okay, it's cool, for people to go and meet their heroes, but like I become my heroes on like a regular basis. So.
All right, so slight moment of silence there, but we
Yeah.
are going to move on. Yeah, that was me being muted. So we are going
No.
to.
Oh, I wasn't sure what happened.
Yeah, I just muted temporarily. So we're going to move
Sure.
on to question number 11. So, Mr. Brandon, could you read that off, please?
Number 11, name some of the best and worst aspects for preparing a cosplay.
Oh my God. I mean, obviously it's different for everyone. For me, probably one of my favorite parts is drafting the pattern. Just because it's one of those things that I recognize, is different from how other people approach it, because most people don't have that fashion background that I have, where I learned how to draft flat patterns, at an early age. So I can literally, approach a costume, and I don't have to, go to Joann's and find a pattern that's somewhat similar and that I can modify to suit my needs. I literally just start, from scratch and draft exactly what I need it to be. And I don't know, I find that really, really I don't really know how to explain it, I guess, but just being able to envision this three-dimensional final product as a flat pattern and just see how everything's going to come together. I very much enjoy. I really like the finishing aspect. I like making everything like really neat and clean. I'm obsessed with ironing. I get really angry when I see people who haven't ironed their costumes. I'm like, oh, you look so good if you just ironed it. Because like from a tailoring perspective, like when you're learning how to like properly tailor clothes, like they teach you like every time you sew a seam, you immediately go and iron it, and like it just makes the finished product so much better. I'm getting really into wig styling too, which it makes me nervous every time I do it because I'm always scared that I'm gonna fuck it up. But because the wig is like, it's so make or break for a costume, because like you can have like the best costume in the world, and if the wig is just slapped on or it's not styled correctly, it just can really detract from the final product. So I've been learning how to cut and spike and style and curl and do all these other things, which it's something very different from my comfort zone. So it's really cool to be getting better with that and getting more confident with it.
So we're gonna move on to, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say like my least favorite things are ironically enough, wearing the costumes, which sounds weird because I love being in costume, but like I have so many physical issues. Like I deal with migraines pretty regularly, so it's so physically taxing being in costume. Like when I put it on, I'm like, oh, I look so badass. I want to be in this forever. And then like a few hours in, my body's like, kill me.
Oh my god.
So that kind of sucks.
I imagine how horrible it must be when you're wearing like stuff in armor and it's like 90-degree heat. Man, that must be terrible.
It can be really uncomfortable.
It's terrible. Oh my god, it's so bad. So, not this past year, but the year before, I got a group of friends together and we competed in the masquerade at Anime Boston with our Fate's Day night costumes, and I was so tired after walking around all day in Saber because between the sword and the armor, like everything was so heavy that by the time it came down to do our skit, like I had to take the armor off for the skit because I literally couldn't lift my arms above my head to do the choreography.
So we're gonna move on to question number 12. So Mr. Chaos, could you read that off, please?
Sure. What are your thoughts on the principal photography phase after a cosplay shoot and the amount of work that goes into photos to make them look as good as possible post-production?
Oh my god, I have so much respect for cosplay photographers and photo editors because my Photoshop skills are pretty much limited to like tiny little touch-ups. Like I can adjust like the levels to make it like as bright as I want, make it pop and everything like that. But I see some of these photo edits out there. My friend Ben of Robin Studios Photography, he just finished editing some photos from a Starfire shoot we did earlier this year, and he did all this amazing post-production on them, and I was just like, oh my god, that looks so cool. I want to learn to do that. And I just I've never really trained with Photoshop. I'm entirely self-taught, so I give mad props to everyone who does that. I follow a few cosplay photographers online that they'll post these amazing edited photos, and I'm just like, oh, that's so good. So I love that. I really do. I think it's great because it really adds such a new dimension. It's really great having good photos of a costume that really show off the work that went into it. But when you can just take it to the next level and not only show off the workmanship, but also like make it really embody that character through the editing, it adds so much to the finished product.
So Mr. Marlon Brando, it is your turn to read off question number 13, the final question in the document.
All right. In closing, what advice would you give those who want to try out cosplay but are nervous to the premise of doing so?
Do it. Just do it. Just dive right in because you will not regret it. My biggest advice to baby cosplayers just starting out is take it slow. Like don't bite off more than you can chew, because I I am never happy with a costume when I try and learn too many things from it. If I try and learn too many new techniques at once, I'm not working with materials that I'm comfortable with. It can become a hot mess. So definitely start out with baby steps. You'll be a lot happier with your finished work if you try and learn like one or two new things with every costume instead of being like, I have no idea how to approach any of this, but I'm just gonna give it a try. Maybe one costume, get comfortable with sewing, and then throw on wig styling on top of that, and then maybe later on, start working with Warbler, because if you take it one step at a time rather than trying to do too much at once, not only will your skill set improve better because you're giving each skill the focus that it really needs in order to properly master it, but your finished results will be much better as a result.
All right, you heard the lady. So we're gonna wrap up and hit the strip club. So brilliant. But seriously, it was very great having you. You gave us a lot of insight on the cosplay medium. I hope that your advice really helps those people who are either insecure or they don't know where to start. Because there's always those people out there that really needs like the help and support and the dedication to get their cosplays off the ground. So once again, Mhysa, it's been very, very great having you. And once again, we cannot thank you enough here at the TCP.
Oh, thank you so much. It was a pleasure being on the show.
Yeah, but before you go, just one more thing. We're going to do outros, so this is where you sort of plug your social media, shameless plug. So where can we find you exactly so people who are interested might want to follow you?
I am pretty much everywhere. You can find me on Facebook under Mhysa Cosplay, Mhysa Cosplay. I'm on Instagram as Mhysa Rose. Same thing on Twitch. I do occasionally stream video games online, even though my setup sucks. But Twitch TV/Mhysa Rose. I am on Twitter as Mhysa Cosplay. I do have a Tumblr as well, although I almost never post to it. But that is also under Mhysa Cosplay.
Awesome. So, Mr. Chaos, what's your outro, buddy? Where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Captain Cass. I tweet about a variety of things, and you can find me on YouTube as well by the same name, just with a space in between Captain Cass. I do a lot of Let's Plays, unboxings, reviews, etc., stuff like that. So if you're interested, check it out.
Mr. Brandon?
You can find me on Twitter at ArcadeMagic514, same as YouTube. But also, phone ringing. Miss Mhysa, can you cosplay as a panda for Renegade here?
Oh my god! Oh. This is a running gag where apparently a lot of people think my favorite animal is a panda. So what they do is they dress up as pandas and send me pictures, and I get very, very pissed off at my friends. We always take jabs at each other. So yeah, could you cosplay as a panda so you can delight my torment with these guys
that
here.
Panda from Tekken.
I cannot, but once I finally get my big Ranma group together and we have our my panda dad, which we do have someone lined up for, I will make sure to send you pictures.
Oh my god. So before I strangle Brandon, I'm going to get to my outro. So you can find me on Twitter at RentOperative_. You can find me on YouTube at Renegade Operative. Once again, it's a pleasure to have you, Mhysa. If we decide to either have you back or if we do something like special in the future, we'll definitely let you know. We'll definitely hit you up on social media. But for the people out there watching, this is the TCP podcast. We are signing out. Hopefully you had a good time watching this video. Take care.
Yeah, okay.